Hey guys, Coach JZ here with a Lifetime Athlete Training Tribe update, talking about our workouts of the week. And this week, it's going to be interesting because there are almost no changes. And you know how I love to change things up, keep it zesty, keep it exciting. But right now, we're getting going in this 3-month-long strength and hypertrophy training block. And it's very important that we spend some time developing the utmost proficiency and mastery in the movement patterns that we're using. And these are large compound lifts designed to help us accept and utilize a lot of load to elicit those adaptations that we're going for. So that's what we're up to. However, usually in the second week of every month, we do add some volume into the training. And that's what this video is about, telling you how we're sort of almost going to sneakily fit that in. Well, first of all, in workout A, that's your push session. And that primary lift is the bench press, of course. And depending on what you have available, you can be doing that with a barbell setup or dumbbells, doesn't matter. Kettlebells, bands, however you've been able to hashtag create that win. But what we're working on is doing a 3-second reversal at the bottom of each repetition in the final 2 working sets of that exercise. So in other words, you're going to go through your 2 light warm-up sets, and then you've got all the other working sets at different rates of perceived exertion, or RPE. Well, those last 2, which are RPE 8, you're probably going to use the same weight or very close to it that you used last week. But what you're going to do on every repetition of those 10 is you're going to come down, and then once you hit where your bottom is, you're going to do a 3-inch or so reversal to complete that rep, and you'll do it on every rep, each of those last 2 sets. This is a great way to increase time under tension, and that is one of the things that elicits muscular hypertrophy. So we're trying to use some really good science here, especially for lifetime athletes, because we've got to find ways to train that don't risk injury or overstress to our joints. Now, when we move to the squat's extra special this week because we're talking about the squat in our master class and going over some of the mechanical considerations. We're primarily shooting for a back squat, and we're using 8 reps in those sets. But what we're going to do with the squat is do about a 1-second hold at the bottom of each of those repetitions of the last 2 sets again. So your last 2 working sets, 2 final sets, you're going to hold at the bottom for 1 second. I'm not being too specific about the speed at which you go down and come back up, or even pause at the top. You know, those are tempo considerations. We've touched on tempo before. We'll dive a little more deeply into that in the future. But for this coming week with the squat, you're going to go down, hold a second. Or if you don't like to count 1001, you can just do a number count, 1, 2, 3 or something like that, and come right back up. This is going to do the same thing. Now, what you're going to notice is you're going to need to be extra careful with where you set your terminal depth and your form and how your back is feeling. And you're probably going to hold breath to maintain maximum compression at that point. Exhale once you come on up. We'll talk about that some in the master class as well. Finally, with our deadlift exercise this week, you're going to be doing that same 1-second hold every rep of the last 2 sets, but, and those are 6-rep sets, you're going to do that at the top. So we tend to not want to hold close to the bottom in the deadlift. It's not the most unsafe thing in the world, depending on the load, but it's very safe for us to hold at the top. You're going to maximize glute recruitment, trunk strength, grip strength, a lot of things. They're just holding those 1 seconds for every rep of the last 2 sets. One more thing to mention before we close up is we're doing some intensive plyometrics. So we've been training for jumping and elasticity preservation forever, but certainly for several months we've been working on some things. The movements that we have this week are generally considered to be intensive because we've got the box jump, which is jumping up onto the box. We've got the depth drops coming off and sticking that landing, and then we've got the depth jump, hitting the ground and jumping again. Make sure that you're just making that work for your unique body. So adjust height of your platform and even trim the number of repetitions if you need to. Also remember that each of these is done one at a time with some rest in between, because it's intensive. We're not really looking for like an aerobic workout or conditioning. This is all about explosive strength and power, and that's why we train in that manner. In fact, that's why we had a tip of the day last week talking about those rest periods. So that's probably enough for me today, guys, in this Training Tribe workouts of the week update. Wow. And I'll catch you next time.